Hello, and welcome to Horses in Motion, a history of the biomechanics of movement. I'm Laura Miller at the University of Arizona. I'm a professor of mathematics and biomedical engineering, and this is the first in a series of lectures that I will post that corresponds to the class I was going to teach this term at the Marah Equine Center. We're postponing that class to the spring of 2026, but I did want to provide some content to the students who had registered, and I hope to see you all next spring. To give you a little bit of background about me and my history with horses, I started riding when I was 8 years old. It was an activity that I did with my grandmother, who grew up on a ranch in Levelland, Texas. I got my first horse when I was 11 years old, and he was a quarter horse named James. I had him until I went to college, and then gave him to a very kind family who lived in our hometown. Unfortunately, I went horseless as an undergraduate and graduate student, but as soon as I got my PhD, I got my first off the track thoroughbred, or OTTB, and have since then I've had a number of off the track thoroughbreds and other horses. In the selfie style picture here, that's me and my horse Mermaid, who I've had for the past 18 years, I think. I got her when I started my faculty position at UNC Chapel Hill before I came to Arizona. And then when I moved to Arizona and Mermaid was ready to retire, I got Duque, who is a Andalusian, or what's also known as a Pura Razza Espanola. Now, in terms of what I did as a student, my undergraduate degree was from the University of Chicago. I started as a math major, but in my first year, I actually switched to biology. I was more interested in animals and proving mathematical theorems. And towards the end of my degree, I started some experimental research looking at horseshoe crab circulatory systems. And this really got me interested in the combination of biology, mathematics, and engineering, looking at the design of the circulatory system based on optimizing cost of transport throughout that system. Now, after undergrad, I went to Duke University. Actually, I started a PhD program in zoology. I was particularly interested in that because my advisor, Steve Vogel, had a long history of combining mechanical engineering with organismal biology, and I wanted to learn how to do that. As a result, I started taking math and engineering classes again, and I started moving more and more towards computational mechanics. For my master's degree, I worked on plant biomechanics, looking at how cattails in particular move in the wind. I got so into the idea of numerical simulations of animals and plants that I just decided to go full time in math so that I could really understand how to create mathematical models that would describe the mechanical things that organisms do. So I left zoology to pursue a PhD in mathematics. I went to New York University and learned how to do computational fluid dynamics. So how to learn how to simulate the effects of air, water, or other fluids like blood and mucus in and around organisms. I worked with Charlie Peskin on my dissertation project, and I focused on the aerodynamics of insect flight. After getting my PhD, I moved to the University of Utah, which is also where I got my first off the track thoroughbred, Native Dance. And at Utah, I joined the mathematical biology group. I continued to work on insect flight, but I started a project looking at the fluid dynamics of heart development. So, in many animals, including vertebrates, the heart forms in the embryo, it begins to pump blood, And the blood and the pressures and forces that it creates helps to shape its own development. And I developed mathematical models of this during my postdoc at Utah. My first faculty position was at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and I was hired in the math department, but I started doing more and more experiments, so really connecting to what I had done as an undergraduate. And to be able to perform those experiments more easily, I moved to a joint appointment between the math and biology departments, and eventually moved 100% to biology. And I started pursuing more and more work in the field of animal biomechanics, and that included field and laboratory research. I started a number of research projects in marine organisms, particularly marine invertebrates, corals, and jellyfish, and looking at how these animals manipulated fluid flow in order to swim or feed or remove waste products. One thing that I was not able to access easily at UNC was an engineering department. In North Carolina, engineering was at NC State, which was about 45 minutes down the road. And my brother has been a resident of Tucson for almost 25 years. And I had been curious about the University of Arizona when I went to visit him, and just hearing about all of the great work that was being done in mathematical biology, as well as in engineering, biomedical engineering, and ecology and evolution. And eventually, I moved to Tucson in 2020. I was hired in the mathematics department and was fortunate to be able to have an experimental laboratory in the math department. I got an adjunct faculty position in biomedical engineering and became a member of the graduate interdisciplinary program in applied math. One thing that I noticed just driving around Tucson was that there was an Equine Center at the University of Arizona. Now, I had also never been at a university that had an ag school or a vet school, and not many places with engineering. So this was very intriguing, how to combine my love of horses with my research in animal biomechanics. And as a result, I started the Systems Biomechanics of the Horse research program last spring of 2024. Now, fortunately, I'm in the College of Science, and the Marah Equine Center is one of the Southern Arizona experimental stations that's affiliated with the College of Agricultural Life and Environmental Sciences. But despite this division in colleges, I was welcome to join the Marah Equine Center, which just shows, the highly interdisciplinary nature of the University of Arizona. So this center is an 88-acre facility that includes 2 covered arenas, 2 outdoor arenas, 48 stalls, and meeting spaces. And it was donated to the U of A in 2013 by Basie Tankersley, who I'll speak a little bit more about. And I know that many of the students in the class were also friends with Basie. So currently there are classes offered in horsemanship, breeding, and the racetrack industry. And my group is starting new initiatives in undergraduate research. I think overall AMEC could be better utilized, and so we are looking for opportunities for new initiatives and collaborations. So just a little bit about Basie Tankersley and Marah Arabians. So Basie bought her first purebred Arabian horse when she was 19 years old, and she opened the Marah Arabians in her early 20s when she and her husband moved to Tucson. And since then, she helped found a number of horse breeding organizations. She created a program to train young horse lovers and was a supporter of the therapeutic riding of Tucson, as well as many, many other ways that she impacted the Tucson community. And so I'm very grateful that she gave this such a lovely facility to the University of Arizona, and that I've been able to use that facility for my research and to, start to combine what I love in research with horses. So unfortunately, I did not know Basie, but I wanted to share a little bit about the impact that she indirectly had on me. And so Marah Arabians are the family of the Black Stallion. And when I was, I think, 6 years old, the Black Stallion came out in 1979. It had a huge impact on me as a little girl who loved horses. And just the beauty of this film and the horse Cassoulet who plays the Black Stallion is amazing. So I think this quote from Robert Ebert about this movie really summarizes just how special Cassoulet as well as the Marah Arabians are. And so he says, the horse in this film is required to perform as few movie horses ever have, but its finest scene is the quietest one and takes place on the island a few days after the shipwreck. Billard and his cinematographer, Caleb Deschanel, have already established the mood of the place with gigantic, quiet, natural panoramas. The boy tries to spear a fish, the horse roams restlessly from the beaches to the cliffs, and then in a single shot that is held for a long time, Billard shows us the boy inviting the horse to eat out of his hand. It is crucial here that this action be seen in a single shot. Lots of shortcuts edited together would simply be the filmmakers at work. But the one uninterrupted shot, with the horse at one edge of the screen and the boy at the other, and the boy's slow approach, and the horse's skittish advances and retreats, shows us a rapport between human and the animal that is strangely moving. And I felt that even as a young girl. And so I wanted to show a clip of that scene. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Black Stallion. And this is what the Marah Equine Center looks like today. So here's a snapshot taken from Google Maps and Bear Canyon Road. So you can see that currently the facility is divided into 4 levels. So level 1 is the outward facing level. There's an outdoor arena, a covered arena, 2 barns, and this is where the show team, the U of A show team, keeps their horses and rides. There are also a number of outreach events on level 1. Level 2 is really the heart of the breeding operations, and the breeding barn, you can see here. Level 3 is the research area, among other uses, and that's where our math program is housed. So we operate out of the indoor arena where the class will hopefully be held next year, and there are turnouts for the horses. Level 4 is the teaching level, and animal and comparative biomedical sciences teaches out of this level. There is an arena here. Let me try a different color here. And the classroom is down here. All right, and hopefully we'll have an open house at Marah soon so that I can show you the facility in more detail. So where are some of the things that are happening at Marah? Well, the racetrack industry program operates in part out of the Marah Equine Center. It was founded in the early 1970s and established to train future leaders in the racing industry. The first class was held in 1974 with support from the American Quarter Horse Association. There's an annual symposium that also began in 1974 and is a globally recognized event where industry leaders and students are brought together. They offer a bachelor's degree with 2 tracks, one focused on racetrack management and regulation, and racing and breeding animals. Within the Animal and Comparative Biomedical Science department is the animal science major with the equine emphasis. So one can obtain a bachelor's of science in animal science with the specialized focus on equine studies. The courses include equine nutrition, reproduction, anatomy, physiology, and management. There are opportunities for practical experiences at the Campus Ag Center as well, in addition to Marah. And the program prepares students for equine veterinary medicine, training, breeding, rehabilitation, and industry leadership. There are collaborations with equine industry professionals and applied research projects in horse science. Now, my new program, again, is focused on horse biomechanics, and we have started a couple of educational courses. So one is this class, The Horses in Motion, that will hopefully be held in full next spring. It's a 6-week humanities seminar course on horse biomechanics and history. We are also offering a cure class, so this is undergraduate research experience. And in this class, students will combine experimental, computational, and theoretical tools to study horse biomechanics. Some of our research initiatives include a project looking at gait asymmetries. We collaborate with Paul Deschavaux to study asymmetries that come up in retired racehorses, and we look for tools to enhance rehabilitation. We also have summer research experiences for undergrads where we make interdisciplinary teams of math and engineering students combined with animal science majors. And we have them focus on solving problems in system biomechanics. So my research I call the system biomechanics of the horse because we are combining experimental, computational, and theoretical tools to understand the mechanical function of the horse and other organisms as a whole. So rather than just looking at muscles, tendons, ligaments, and bones, we expand that definition of biomechanics to include the mechanical functions of other internal systems as well. So the respiratory system, the cardiac system, cardiovascular system, lymphatic system, and digestive system. And so we use these approaches to quantify and test hypotheses about the relationships between mechanical systems within the horse and also between horses and humans. So in our program, we are focused right now on off-the-track thoroughbreds, and we have 4 at the Marah Center and are going out into the community and measuring others. So racehorses are typically retired when they are too slow or have a career-ending injury. In addition to injury, there are cardiovascular, respiratory, and digestive issues that come up. And here are 4 horses. So Jackson, I adopted from Pas de Cheval this past fall. He's an 8-year-old off-the-track thoroughbred. Jamie entered our program in the summer in July of 2024. He raced locally and was retired for a couple years before he came to us. Siggy came through Desert Oasis and was included in the Animal and Comparative Biomedical Science program with the goal of using him for the thoroughbred makeover. He actually has a heart murmur, so he won't be in that makeover and will be transferring over to our program, hopefully. And then Mermaid is my off-the-track thoroughbred that I've had for 18 years. So some of the issues that they have, Jackson has a little bit of roaring, so you can hear it when he's being exercised, and we'll talk more about that in future classes. Ziggy had a heart murmur. Jamie also has some roaring and is a cribber. For those of you who know what that is, we'll talk more about that later. He's had ulcers and some arthritis. And Mermaid likely has some exercise-induced pulmonary hemorrhaging, ulcers, and an old stifle injury. But we have been working with them for some time now, using a number of interventions, including massage, chiropractics, osteopathic work, and retraining, and they are all getting better over time. Now, where we hope to be going with our research in the future. So we are quantifying improvement in gait due to rehabilitation and retraining. We'd like to up our game on this by getting an aqua treadmill, cold saltwater spa, and so forth, but we're in fundraising mode for that. We're also developing and applying computational fluid dynamic tools for patient-specific, horse patient-specific simulations. And we're looking for partnerships to acquire high-accuracy 3D models of internal organs. And then we're quantifying the mechanics of horse-human interaction, so how breathing and heart rate of the horse and human affect each other, and how information in some ways is transferred. In terms of education, in partnership with Animal and Comparative Biomedical Science, we're developing an introduction to horsemanship for pre-vets. We're establishing a horse-related senior design project for BME students. We're developing horse computational fluid dynamic projects for a biofluids course. We're expanding summer graduate research projects, and we're looking for more community outreach, especially for underserved communities. Okay, so that wraps up the introduction. I'd just like to thank our math team. So Bernadette Genua is our research manager, and here she is helping temp horses as part of our the work that we're doing to minimize the spread of strangles that's currently at the facility. I'll be sharing some information on that soon, but we haven't had the development of any more cases in almost 2 weeks now, so things are going well. We've had a number of research students, both undergrad and graduate students who have helped with the project. And I'd also like to thank Nancy Scosi and Cheryl Cates, who have worked in equine assisted therapy, and they're helping with our horse-human interaction project. So I will end there. The next video I'll post is a brief summary of the history of the horse and its domestication.